And y'all know what this is. This is PSA, Philly Service Announcement, every Tuesday. Glockaware Radio, 5 to 6. Takeover Tuesday. Listen, before we get into our guests, before we get this show started, I just want to say today is a very special day. Today marks our 1 year anniversary from the day that we started this podcast. And yeah, that's right. Give it up. That's what's up, Toucan. That's what's up. Yeah, this is a special day. So, we're really, really excited. We have some wonderful, wonderful guests on the show today. My brother Rue, the assist, he's on his way. Y'all know how he do. He on his way, but he coming. But I just wanted to say from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate all of the followers, all of the guests that have come onto the show, shared their resources with us, because this was we helping each other out. Because when we started this thing, it was like I was a little reserved a little bit, and then the raw cannons start coming out, and so it was a growing process for me, especially Rue. He just run his mouth like he don't need no time. He can jump right in and just start spilling, telling what he know, and he's very, very comfortable, and I'm comfortable too. But he had already had his thing set up, and he was already delivering, and I just had to come in and kind of observe a little bit, and find my space, find my niche. And I did, especially with Say Her Name. That segment of the show started out from a conversation of intersectionality, and that has grown to be a portion of the show that is just near and dear to my heart. It's often that it's when we talk about the Say Her Names and the different things that Black women are faced with in America. It's just me being a Black woman, me being a mother, a wife. A lot of the things that we talk about and a lot of topics, they touch me. And I'm an emotional person, and I don't want to turn this into an emotional thing, but I'm excited. I'm really, really excited about our 1 year anniversary. And like I said, we got a lot of special guests on the show today. I just want to say I appreciate y'all, everybody that liked, followed, shared, subscribed, came through to support, came up here to provide their resource. It is truly, truly appreciated. And we're just going to keep moving up from here. Like, this is just, we are change. And with change comes the unknown, the uncertain. You go through your trials and tribulations. Your co-hosts be late sometimes. You know what I'm saying? So anything. But without further ado, I don't want to just keep running my mouth. But I do want to give some of our special guests an opportunity to introduce themselves, because y'all know we don't introduce nobody. Nobody can introduce you like you can introduce yourself. I'm not real big on jacking up names, but Brother Rue, he jacks up some names sometimes. So we just let it go that way. And without further ado, I want to start with our beautiful queen right here sitting next to me. And go ahead, let everybody know who you are. Tell us who you are, where we can find you at, what platforms you on, and what's your resource.
Absolutely. Nice to meet everybody. My name is Brooklyn Hitchins. I am technically a doctor, so I have a PhD in sociology. I'm originally from Wilmington, Delaware, so not too far from Philly. And I've spent a lot of time in spaces like Wilmington, Delaware, in spaces like Philadelphia. I now live in Baltimore. Here you go. Look, I was late on the first show.
He just got to keep that momentum going. You see that, right? He got to keep that momentum going. Pull the mic to you. Pull the mic to you a little bit closer, because it sounds good.
Is it
echo
muffled?
in the room.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
okay.
just pull it a little closer to you so they can hear you better.
Okay, absolutely.
You know, just because he came in late,
He
you know,
came in.
he came in late for the first show. He came in, well, at least he got his Philly service announcement shirt on. You know, I was just kind of jumping in really quick and you know really celebrating a special day. You know, 1 year today,
Yes,
and you
yes.
know, and a lot of things happen. You know, with
Right.
change. You know, you got a late co-host, and you know this
Yeah,
is what he
you know,
do. This is what he do.
if
But
you
he
go-
is a very, very intricate part to this whole thing. Like this bull be having his feet
Yes.
on the ground all the time, and that's the only reason why he get away with what he get away with, because he do so much.
we got a lot of celebrating to do too,
Yeah, we do.
because black folks being employed around here. You know what I'm saying? We ain't gonna get all the way into it, but black folks is being employed by other black folks. That's the more important part about it.
Yes,
That's the more important part.
Yes.
So he told me to make sure everybody was speaking into their microphone. So we can
Yeah,
make sure.
I kind of
Okay.
got it. So she was in the middle, introducing
apologize.
herself before she was so rudely interrupted.
Yes,
But carry on, my queen. Carry
Absolutely.
on.
As I said, my name is Dr. Brooklyn Hitchins. I have a PhD in sociology, but beyond all of that, right? Like my heart is very much with the people, and so all of the things that I've done to this point has been community engaged. So figuring out how I can use the talents that God has given me to affect change in the Black community. So as it relates to research, as it relates to the community, specifically around issues of violence, of policing, all the stuff that we go through in our society, figuring out ways to connect the research to the activism to empower our folks. So I'll stop there.
Woo.
So before I let this brother go, because this brother been on the show before. Did you go already?
No, he did.
He been on the show, but I want to know something because I don't want to forget because this is going to be a lot. What does Hood Feminist mean?
Oh, so okay. So my IG is at Hood Feminist, and so okay, a little on that. So for me, in an academic space, right, a lot of people study Black folks, right? Everybody thinks they know what it is we go through. Everybody thinks they understand poverty and what it means to not have your basic needs met. So I come into the academy like, nah, I'm gonna combine the hood with my love for Black women. So a lot of my work deals with Black women in the streets and the criminal justice system, the forgotten story. So a lot of times we do focus on the men as it relates to justice involvement. But for me, it's like, let's combine the experiences of Black women in the streets with research and with power. So that's the Hood Feminist.
I like it.
Yeah.
I love it.
No doubt.
I love it.
Most definitely. That was powerful. I'm brother, I guess, Dr. Kimba.
Yeah, let them know you a doctor, man.
Yes,
This is a doctor
we
show.
got
You know what I'm
doctors on the
saying?
show.
Let them know
This
you
what
a
we
doctor.
doing.
Most definitely. Dr. Kimball Bellanta, or just brother Kimba. From West Philly, spent time in Brooklyn, lived in Brooklyn for about 2 decades. So that's my second home as well, but I always rep Philly, you know. So, you know, I do a lot of community work right now. I work with a think tank. We charge colonialism. We have a podcast we do every Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. It's a dope podcast, and we just talk about issues on the podcast that's dealing with African people, whether on the continent or the diaspora. So people of African descent. We talk about the conditions that our people are in and what we need to do to overturn these conditions. And so we our institution, we promote decolonization. It's you know, we putting out that information to combat the propaganda that's put out by the colonial media. So also I teach at McEvers College. I'm a historian by profession, and so I definitely, you know, I always look at the history and see how it connects to where we are today, because you know, where we are today, everything is it's a continuum. Everything that happened in the past it's all connected. So understanding our past is a way that we can really solve with all of the problems that we're dealing with today as Black folks. So, you know, that's what I do. I do some other things too, but definitely check me out on IG at Global Ubuntu Foundation, and I started that nonprofit in 2016. And that entity, basically, I was inspired by the philosophy of Ubuntu that comes out of Occupy Azania, what we know as South Africa. But the philosophy is I am because we are, and I'm gonna keep it short like that. We can get a little bit more philosophical with it, but it, it speaks to how we're all connected, and my presence in this world wouldn't be possible without everyone else that's around me. So we're all connected, and that's how we're gonna get out of the situation that we're in as a people. Just knowing that.
So we had I don't know. I know that you said Yasser was going to be a little late.
Yas run.
That's cool.
Sarah,
Oh,
Sarah.
okay, cool. So this is the door coming in.
This is the one you were talking about.
Yes. The grown kids, like no. The grown kids, like no. We ain't gonna have a show about the grown kids today, but we are gonna have a show about the grown kids, and we're gonna have the grown kids on here, and then they, So I'm not just going one way with it. But yo, when Run put me on, like ever since I first met him, he been talking about PAR research. I'm talking about like he led with that with me, and when he first heard me speak, seeing me move around, he was like, "Yo, you will be perfect for this." Like, it's been going, but then I didn't know what the history was. Where I've read about Che, I've read about Fidel, and I've read about a lot of our Afro Latinos, you know what I'm saying, and the revolutions that they have gone through and still going through. But I never made that connection on, you know what I'm saying, the research and how the data was like they was allowing them to know, like, you can't, one of the most important things about how we get out of this is the information. Right. Who's controlling the information? Right. And if we don't control our own data, because that's not something that I hear a lot of our people talk about when we talk about empowering ourselves. Right. You know what I mean? We everywhere with it, and it's being talked about, but not like, financial freedom. Or when we talk about revolution in terms of it got to get violent, we got to be militant, you know what I'm saying? Or when we talk about politics and we got to be more in the politics, voting and taking office and all. I didn't hear, I never heard a lot of people say, yo, we need to control the data. What's the information? Like, how are they coming up with these policies like we talked about and during the training and everything? But because we are both doctors, allow me to know again, or allow everybody to know the importance of the data. Like, really get them a breakdown on the money that's in the data, how policies get made behind the data. Like, if y'all got any examples of data going wrong, you know what I'm saying? Like, or data even working correctly.
Absolutely. Like,
for our folks.
Nah, for real. Part of it is it's not enough black scholars who are about it and really care about the people, right? So a lot of times what happens is when we get a little bag, when we get our power, our degrees, we go the other way. And so we forget about our people. And so then you have this small minority of people who are like, nah, I'm black and I'm gonna invest back into my community. And so part of it is a numbers problem at its core. But white people get a lot of money to study our people. They get billions of dollars to study Philadelphia, billions of dollars to study Baltimore and cities all over the country. And very seldom does that money touch the ground, and very seldom does it make any impact. That's the problem. So if you control the data, like you said in class, you control everything.
Yeah. So, when it comes to the data, of course, like I'm thinking information, but of course, like data, you could be talking about something that's like quantitative, data. I deal with a lot of the qualitative information, but the data, when we're dealing with statistics, for instance, like that can be skewed. Like you can, depend, and this is where scientific racism comes into play, right? Because you can go back in history and see how they would take statistics. There's a certain amount of crime that's taking place in the area, and they'll look at the data and say, I'm gonna throw some numbers out there, like, okay, we use Philadelphia 500 homicides, last year, and they can look at that data and see who's committing those homicides. Most of the homicides, and I'm just throw black men committing most of those homicides. So then it's like, they can start coming up with start surmising, saying maybe it's something about black men. There's some criminal element. Maybe there's something inherent in the black man that's causing them to murder, people. So now we got to make policies to deal with it. We got to build more jails. Like how many men, they can really use that information against our interests. But in reality, though, they're not looking at the environment, the things that are like really conditioning, like what black men are going through. That's causing this, dealing with the economic situation that they're in, that may be causing them to commit those crimes or those homicides, or even just like the system that's causing black men to feel like they don't have any control or power. And so instead of taking it out on the real enemy, the person who's causing those conditions, they begin to take it out on each other. Right. And it has a lot to do with also, going back, getting off of the statistic part, miseducation. Carter G. Woodson, wrote The Miseducation of the Negro, and he talked about, information and education, who's controlling the education. And we have a lot of scholars who has done that, but dealing on that part, when we talk about the data or the information, they control the information. Steve Biko, he talked about the most potent weapon in the hands of the oppressor is the minds of the oppressed. Right. So, if you control minds, you control behinds. I took that from Dr. Bobby E. Wright, but that's what it is, though.
I wanted to kind of piggyback off of what both of y'all are saying, because throughout my educational journey, right, there's a lot of research required, right? And you got to read all these scholarly articles, and all they got to do is get a group of people to come up with some ideas, and then run a study, right? They just come up with ideas, run studies, and then document the results. And then and they put all this information out here, black men, you going off of your example, black men do this because, it is our, opinion that black men do this because, and then in a very small fine print, all the way at the end of the study, this information may be skewed because X, Y, and Z, right? So they put all that information out there first to get you. Put these ideas in your head about our people, about our population, right? And then in the very end, right before they throw up a whole bunch of, credits and, who did this, where I got this from, it's that one little small paragraph that says, these results may be skewed because the majority of the black men that we interviewed were living in the oppressed, and the water in that areas, like it'd be crazy stuff that you'd be like, well, damn, why did you just interview, how do you even come up with this stuff? But it's real. It's really real.
Just one quick point on what you're saying too, which is also important. You're talking about who's controlling the data, who's funding the people who are doing the research.
Exactly. Exactly.
I just wanted to raise that.
That was the next part.
So these universities get big bags.
Big bag.
Big bags.
Big bag. And part of it is the gentrification.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because they come in and do it all. The universities? Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
They're very predatorial. They're very pariah-ish. You know what I'm saying? Like Temple do they ones and twos. But in Philadelphia, I think Penn I think they got the longest history, and they've studied themselves in what they do. You know what I'm saying? And still continue to do it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They got people working at Penn to quell what Penn has done. That's how deep Penn is with it. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure Temple probably do it in Drexel, but Penn is vicious. And it's like that in every city.
Yeah, because that's where you get the money from. That's how you get the money. We're not going to get out here and do all of this work and do all this research. We have to show that we're monitoring ourselves as well.
And they're really exploiting the poverty of the people, to be honest with you. So I live in Baltimore now, Johns Hopkins, University of Maryland, Towson. They all are centralized in hood area, where we live at.
Yes.
And they literally will pay one of us to go collect some surveys, pay you a couple dollars, pay the people $5, $10, $50 for their surveys. And that one document, they can use that, literally, like you said, to justify the stereotypes, but they're getting money, funding, to keep doing it more and more
and more.
The data is so powerful, but it's manipulated.
It's very manipulated.
And they are preying on the oppressed because they know that we don't have the money. They know we don't have the resources and say so per se in our communities, and they take advantage of it.
And he brought up the miseducation of the Negro, and I'm sure he probably brought it up because of what you said, because that's a part of the book, a major part of the book about us going to these colleges and getting all European, you know what I mean, learning about the Greeks and all of this stuff, and then you want to go work for them. Like, you don't want to bring that resource, that information that you got while you matriculated through whatever university back to our community. Like, you're being prepared to go work for them, work for the system to keep the system going as it goes. So how do y'all deal with that conflict? I know y'all say y'all do a lot of work in the community, but at the end of the day, you still are taking a certain amount of money from this very, like, how do you deal with that? How do you feel what I'm saying? Like, how do y'all deal with that?
I can start. So I'm in a very I'm at the University of Maryland, and my department it prides itself on being the #1 department in the country that studies crime. But part of the thing is, all they care about is your publication record. All they care about is, are you able to take this data set and put it into a journal article or a book and keep it going,
And the journal articles are more important. They hold more weight than the books.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
They definitely, especially if you're putting it in one of the top tier ones. And so that's all they care about. And so they leave you alone generally if you check off those boxes. If you have your service, if you're teaching well, and you're publishing. And so we walk this fine balance of doing the community engaged stuff but while also appeasing the university. It's hard. I'm only in my first year. It's hard.
Yeah, I'm in a fortunate situation. I don't know how long it will last, but the school, I'm at Medgar Evers College, and the school is priding itself on engaging with the community. Even I graduated there as undergrad. I did undergrad there.
Let people know who Medgar Evers is.
Oh man, Medgar Evers, civil rights leader. I'm gonna call him a revolutionary too, because he said some things off the books, that a lot of people don't know about. But he was definitely about self-defense. But he was president of the Mississippi chapter of the NAACP, National Association of Advancement of Colored People. He was assassinated in June 12th, 1963. And this was the day after John F. Kennedy. We don't need to talk about this.
Yeah. No, you can.
No, this is history though. Yes. Give them the backdrop.
But Mega's that dude. Though.
Right. I wanted you to hold your thought and not forget it. I hope I didn't make you forget it, but that's important for us to know, because a lot of people don't know who Medgar Evers is.
Yeah.
So when you say that you in a little bit of a different situation, a person who knows who Medgar Evers is like, well, if the school is named after him, they probably approach this a little different than the university.
Absolutely,
they probably do.
Of course,
because capitalism is capitalism. So
it
might. So when you say that, like, I might be in a charmed position right now, but you teach at this school, and the thought process when the school is named that is that, okay, they are a little bit more leaning towards black folk and our issues, and using the college as a way to solve our issues or help solve our issues. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And it was a struggle if you look into the history that time for it. But, it was a struggle to get the college established. I think it was in the 1970s. They wanted to name it Malcolm X, but, it's like, a little too radical.
A little too
But I've just been fortunate, and I've been able, just as I've been there for 4 years, and it's a predominantly black institution. So it's not a HBCU, but it's a predominantly black institution. So, I'm talking to my brothers and sisters, and, I'm able to connect with them differently when I've taught classes at another institution, I won't say, where it's like predominantly white folks, and it just don't feel the same. You know what I'm saying? So I don't really have to do, a lot of just like I just be myself there. People in the department is great. And we actually have been talking about even just incorporating something into the degree program, where the students, before they even graduate, they're going to have something on their resume that said they did this in the community. So, that's where we are right now with it.
So I want to make sure that I get this out, before I forget. The Hood Feminist drove 2.5 hours to get here.
Yeah, man.
Straight after class, after teaching.
Listen.
She thought she might not be able to make it,
I
so we
tried.
definitely want to say, you know,
Yes,
we appreciate it.
this is a pure example of love is real, right?
She drove 2 hours to do our
To
show.
do us
So,
Y'all know the
You know.
on our
Stop.
1 year, the love, support, and grace is real.
yeah, social activism,
Listen.
resources, and art. Like, we appreciate that. And I had to make sure
Okay.
everybody know, like, yo, she knew where she was coming to. She knew it was some black folk, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And she didn't make an excuse like, I just told I'm burnt
Nah,
out, you know what I'm
She
saying?
here,
She jumped
y'all.
in the well, literally. If she got here on time, and I didn't get here on time,
And neither did nobody else, but that's all.
I was here on time.
I know you was. I know you
so if she got here on time, that means she literally, soon as class was over, jumped in her
Yeah.
well and was like, "This is important
She
to me." and
showed
we
up,
really,
y'all.
we
No
really
doubt,
appreciate
because
that.
She
real
showed
Like,
up
recognize
for
real.
us.
Like as soon as I
Right.
met you, Drew, I was like, yup. Like you know how you could tell when you have like spirits when you're in a room
Yes.
with somebody who sees something the way you see it, and
Yeah.
it's rare. So you
Mm.
gotta, you definitely have to cherish that. When you see
Yo,
it.
like, yo,
He
I-
has that effect on people.
Yeah.
my man told me I'm a likable guy. You know what I'm saying? My brother told me he said, man, you just a
be
likable
spitting
He
guy,
has
man.
that effect on people, you know.
You know, it's one of those things, you know, when and it's like for me, it's like when people like famous people be like, it's lonely. You know, when you get there and everybody don't understand, it's like, unfortunately, when we get a certain amount of information because it been kept from us for so long. So when we get woke, you know what I'm saying? When we become aware, when we become conscious, you start realizing the folks around you kind of like fall away. Like you feel like you
Yeah.
always like always lecturing the people or always telling people what to do, or you know, people say I think I know everything, you know what I'm saying? That might be Aquarius thing, but but
It all makes
but
sense.
but
yeah,
but
you
on some
know.
real, it's hard to go in rooms, unfortunately, with our folks because of what has been done to them. You know what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
have just like conversations,
Right.
not debates, not a lecture session, but just straight conversations where you say Carter G. Wilson and everybody in the room know who you talking about, and y'all go right into the conversation.
Mhm.
It's unfortunate that that's what it is. You know, we in rooms with our family, in rooms with our friends, people that we love, and you say John Henry Clark, and everybody like,
Who's that?
who that?
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Who we talking about? You know, Medgar Evers or Ida B. Wells. We should start running off names
Mhm.
that we should know who these people are, and it's like now you got to turn it into a teaching session, which is cool.
Yeah.
But it'd be like, sometimes I want somebody to be like, nah, that I don't agree with that because of this. And they start running off like me and Ron was about to go into it, and I ain't get a chance to finish because we was in the restorative justice circle, so I couldn't go back at him about Brown versus the Board of Education. But it's a beautiful thing to be able to talk to this brother, and it's like, nah, this is what was going, and his
Mm-hmm.
facts is on point.
Mhm.
But I don't agree. You know what I'm saying? And then when I say what I gotta say, it's on point, but he don't agree. You know, just like my brother, I hope he's able to make it. Me and him always arguing about Booker T. I'm like, dog, you can't be a revolutionary how you are a revolutionary and you lean anywhere towards Booker T. But this is my guy, and he does. And we got into an argument so deep one time about Booker T. It was like, is we about to go through something? Is this our first time we about to not fuck with each other no more? Because I cannot believe that you riding with this Buckeye. Like, I can't believe that this is what you doing. But being able to have that is a different type of thing. So allow me to know how that feels for y'all. Like, when, you know, you can be, because now we're in the space that y'all in, it's like, it's people that think they smart, and it's like, nah, you still, like you said, it's a minority of black folk that's still about black folk with all of this quote unquote information. So how do that feel? If y'all done got over it, y'all been through it enough, it's like, oh, this is how it is. Because it still bothers me. It still bothers me to be in a room and bring up certain names and my people just don't know. And I can't have a conversation with them at that point. You know what I'm saying?
Part of it is the colonized mind, right? So our survival as a people is a lot of times predicated on mastering the white way of doing things.
Yes.
Do you know how to speak properly? Are you articulate? Are you professional? And so we've learned to just disregard the black stuff because it's not
Culture,
gonna
the real culture.
The culture in this pursuit of the dollar, of the dream, and it's really a disservice to us. And so it is hard. It's a balance because to make it in the white world, you do got to play this weird kind of game, but you can't succumb to it, and that's the hard
Right.
part.
Like code switching. You know what I mean? Like in the presence of, the white folk. And
Yes.
and don't get me wrong, like that's not something that I came up not doing. Like I came up doing it. It wasn't until I was well into my adulthood when I was just really letting people see who I really am. And it took for me to experience being in that world and doing everything right, and that shit don't matter. You will get dropped at the drop of a dime. You will get replaced. Like doing all the thing, being the best in the room, and being overlooked. You know what I mean? So all of that, the code switching, the playing the game, to a certain extent, what is it? It still leaves you out there, and what you got who you are. So come as you are in the room. And Brother Rue, I know it get frustrated. I know it can be frustrating, but that's why you do what you do. Because everybody ain't have people coming in the room with them like you until you came in the room. So, unfortunately, that's how you giving back. You elevating people, you bringing names to people that they don't understand or never even heard of before. And sometimes they going to try to shut you down. We know you ain't going to shut down. We know that ain't going to happen. But, and I understand your frustration, because I feel like that a lot sometimes. And I feel like people not really trying to listen to me. Why they not trying to elevate? Like, why don't you want to better yourself? You know what I mean? But it's an individual journey. You got to start with self. We got to be able to contribute something to the masses. And if you ain't right and you got things you got to work on, a lot of times it shows. You just don't realize it. So you just keep doing what you doing, Brother Rue. You keep coming in the room with all these names that other people don't know and putting people on. I'm just saying.
Yo, that's one of the things that soon as I heard Yasir, soon as I heard him talk, and it was just like, no, I don't change for nothing. Like, I be in room for, they asked me to come and talk. You know what I'm saying? And I give them the business. Like, oh, y'all asked for me? You know what I'm saying? I was like, yo, we need that. Like, we need it. And it was a funny thing what he was saying. Not funny, because it was serious at the same time, but when he was saying what his pop told him, and it was like, you think these white folks gonna let you just keep running around here trying to save the people and inform the people? And he was like, he made a determination. Here go the brother right here. I ain't gotta tell his story. He can tell his own story. You know what I'm saying?
He can tell his own story.
We're gonna let him get right into it. Let him know who he is. Why you here? What you do?
Welcome on our 1 year anniversary of our very first show. Everybody up here is special, super special today.
That's what's up. Super
Yes, super special.
I'm here.
You made it.
Supreme hat and all.
Hey.
Yes.
We were talking you up.
Okay, so am I to speak in? Okay.
Just let them know. Who are you? Why you here? How we met? What you do? All that good stuff.
So I just want to say my name is Dr. Yasir Payne. I'm on faculty in the Department of Sociology and Criminal Justice. I'm a professor at the University of Delaware. I deeply apologize. I've literally been on the road from Delaware since 4 o'clock. And between all the traffic and everything else, I'm just getting here. So thank y'all for holding it down. In short, my name is Yasir Payne. I'm a street ethnographer. I'm the guy who hangs out with folk who may be involved with the streets or the criminal justice system. As street ethnographers, we immerse ourselves in the population to study with them the concerns, the questions that they may have around the issues that they are dealing with. For the most part, we deal with gun violence. We also deal with policing. We also deal with this concept called structural violence. So it's about us working with folk that have some experiences in the streets to document their own experiences, right? Keep in mind, the stories, particularly in poor Black communities, are literally worth billions of dollars to university professors.
Yes, they are.
Right? So we come in, the Temples, the UPenns, the University of Delaware's, the University of Maryland's. We have a lock on your story. We become the experts of your story. And we like to turn y'all off by making you think like education and learning and schooling is boring and all of that. That's great, right? So you don't have to compete with us and our institutions. Keep in mind, right? So there usually is for the most part, right, folk outside of our neighborhoods, right, whiter and wealthier scholars, they dominate your story and or they become the experts, right, over what is even street. Right, just think about that. The top experts on gangster rap music, right, are not black people.
Mm-hmm.
The top experts on gun violence and gangs and all of that, right, are folk that have never been to your neighborhoods.
So true.
Never.
Right? And billions of dollars are set aside for these universities to compete over each year. Right? They X you out, right? And or we X you out of the formula and they cash in on your stories. So Brooklyn and myself and a bunch of other folk, I've been doing this work for the last 10, 12 years where we say, you know what? It's time that we bring the research model down to the street corners, right? So that means we recruit, we enlist, and we train folk who may have experiences with the streets, and we train them in the same way that we train our graduate students. We expose them to the same opportunity, right, in terms of research, development of theory, methods, analysis, co-authorship. We want you presenting with us, and we want to pay you for it, right? That's exactly what the graduate student is experiencing. Right, outside of school and all of that, outside of the classroom and all of that, at some point, right, you're going to actually have to get on the ground and do the work, and that becomes the other way that we learn how to become researchers, and it's one of the best ways to learn how to do it. So in the experience, so my thing is, the best reentry program, intervention, or whatever you want to call it, should involve them as research activists, right? Leading the charge. It's time for y'all to start kicking us out of y'all neighborhood, controlling who comes in and does research on your stories, right? And oftentimes in Wilmington, we refer to that as the union, meaning ain't nobody can just come out here in Wilmington, Delaware, meaning university professors, and just do a research project. No.
Exactly.
We got to have a conversation up front. All this money getting made, nobody talking to y'all. What? So everything shuts down until there's an understanding. Ain't nobody gonna do nothing illegal. None. We ain't gonna put our hands on you in Wilmington, Delaware. But at the end of the day, if you're coming into our community with these $1 million grants slinging all around every year, somebody has to have a conversation with us, and that's what they do in the other communities. You can't go up in. You think you go up in the Puerto Rican, the Mexican American, you're gonna do some research. You're going to run up in the Asian community, the Chinese, right, or the Korean, and so on. You're going to do some research, right? Try and do some, to talk about you just want to show up and collect 200 surveys in the Jewish community, right, or the Native American community, right? And so they already got their unions set up. You know what I mean? Unless you get through their barriers, their gatekeepers, it's no deal.
Right.
Black folk, we the only community where anybody can just walk in with a smile, throw a couple dollars around, and we giving away billions of dollars worth of information. And all that information is used to actually control, manage, continue to incarcerate, underemploy, unemployed. That's what the information is being. It's not used to liberate you.
Not at all.
All that precious knowledge is being used to learn how to manage you more efficiently.
That's it.
Right?
Wow.
While the powers that be profit even more.
Even more.
So I want us to get, meaning Black Americans descended of the slave South, the killing fields of the United States of America. I want us, right, to get our thinking caps on and begin to protect our neighborhoods, our babies, and our communities just like everybody else.
That's it.
And all that's going to happen, be honest with y'all, when we do it, it's going to make everybody mad.
Of
right?
course.
For all of the right reasons. This is about liberation, this is about transformation, and this is about beginning from the ground up. So I'm gonna stop there, but that's the program that we look to bring to Southwest Philly in particular, and hopefully throughout the city as well.
That was like all on point. No, that was just like all on point. Because I looked at my phone and I saw a question like, how do we control the data? And then you just came in and told us how we control the data.
Yes, ma'am.
Be the researcher.
Yes, ma'am.
We need to be the ones out there doing the research. That's how we control the data. And not just allowing them to come in and be the experts
Yes, ma'am.
on our lives, right?
Yes, ma'am.
They never lived their day in their life.
Are you serious? Like, no, I'm just messing. Because I was about to say, is it a real thing that a white person? I think I think y'all said it was a white woman.
Yes.
Is the the preeminent thought? She has the preeminent thought on hip hop.
All of that.
It's a white.
On black culture, man. Like,
Yeah.
I
That's
remember watching
crazy.
this
That's crazy
interview,
to me.
bro. Like,
Can she rap though?
No.
Did anybody ever see on
These people
Instagram
are
spitting
out of
around,
touch.
beatboxing,
They
breakdancing,
are, listen,
anything, graffiti, art, DJ? Cause they're culture vultures.
They are.
Oh,
So they
yeah.
know how to master the
Oh.
shit out of something. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Can she do? Did she give us enough respect to even know how to spin on her back, on her head, something? You know what I'm saying? Like for real, that's crazy to me. That's crazy to me. Like seriously, that's crazy to me.
That's
The
real.
culture vulture concept, and I'm glad you said that, extends far more than just hip hop,
Yeah.
right? Meaning, whatever the market is, right? We have the capacity, and we often dominate the market. I mean, we Michael Jordans wherever we go. Keep that in mind, right? But to keep people, and this is critical race theory. This is Derek Bell, who oftentimes argues this. Derek Bell is the founder of critical race theory, right? And basically, what he's arguing in critical race theory is that the economy is organized around race, right? With black at the bottom and white at the top, right? Meaning, there is no white wealth without black poverty. I know we all been raised and socialized to believe all you gotta do is work hard enough, and all of a sudden you're gonna get your $1 million, right?
Yeah.
And just keep in mind, we've been doing the working the hard part for about
What?
500 years,
What? The hardest.
right? And keep in mind, right, that hasn't worked out because black Americans, descended of the slave South, we are a bottom caste, right? This economy, I know we got a lot of rappers and everybody talk about balling and making money and all of that, but there is no wealth generation without millions of poor people sitting around somewhere. You cannot have one without the other, right? All those kinds of tricks and tropes and stories that we hear about wealth and right, all of that has been made up. Right? And then right, with the right intention, we often pass that on unknowingly to our children and to our babies, right? Just passing on that bad information. And I think my thing is this now. It's time for us to control the arguments, the narrative, the information, the data, right? One of our guys that's in our camp in Wilmington, Delaware, just sitting around a group text, right? And letting everybody know, your information is worth more than gold. More than oil. In terms of its value on the actual market. So it's time to control the information, because out of that information, that's how policies and laws are developed. If I can put out there that you're a super predator, then that means I could develop policies and laws to control your super predatorness. Right. If I can say you're struggling with crack cocaine and the white folks are struggling with powder coke, that means I can police your neighborhoods differently. Yeah. Because I'm saying something is wrong. You're crack, you're going over, right? If I can generate all false narratives, by the way. If I can say you're black men who don't love your children, then that means I can create policies and laws, right, to rectify that.
That's what the data say. That's what the
Data
data say.
say.
And that's how they're using this
Data.
to justify the continued oppression of your neighborhoods. Right? And that's why we got to kick them out, change the discourse, control the information, and then demand a new set of policies and laws to follow.
Listen, I that demand part is like, that's real. Like, we really have to get out and demand.
Yes, ma'am.
And,
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
you
ma'am.
know, I just want to shift gears a little bit, right? Because today is our 1 year anniversary of the very first show we ever did. And it's not the 1 year of the Say Her Name, but the Say Her Name segment of the show, we started from a conversation that we had about intersectionality, and how black women are being misrepresented in the data when it comes to being murdered at the hands of police. We talk about the black men that are dying at the hands of police, but the black women aren't being represented in that data. So that conversation started, and, you know, I kind of went through a list of different women who lost their lives at the hands of police or in police custody, brutalized. They were either murdered or died in police custody. And I just want to take this moment to highlight some of the names and say some of the names that we've said over the course of this past year. Now, I'm not going to say them all, but it's a lot of them. So bad part is I don't have my glasses on, but it's okay because I got a phone and I can make my print bigger, right? I can make it bigger.
And the while she looks for what that morphed into is just the fact that our black women are the most unprotected group of people probably on the planet, definitely in America.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And a lot of that protection and a lot of that unprotectedness and a lot of that pain and death is coming at the hands of us, black men.
Our black men.
For a variety of reasons, but it's still there, and we still need to be yelling at, because what we know about black women for sure is they are our source of power. Period, point blank. The black man's source of power is the black woman. However you want to make that make sense to you, it's for you, but they are, and I like to lean to the thing for me always be, before we came to these shores, most of our deities look like our moms. Most of our gods and goddesses, the people who were prayed to, the people who the homage was paid to, the communities were matriarchal communities. The last name was from the mother's line. Yeah. You know what I mean? Until we came here, and who flipped it on his head.
Yes.
And that was like the beginning of black women being unprotected in America on these shores.
Right.
So. Say her name goes beyond, it goes beyond, as my sister always does, my right-hand sister, it goes beyond police brutality, police murder. It does. It morphed into that because that's what it really is. That's just a part of the story of how black women are unprotected and being killed. Absolutely. Black women are being murdered. Absolutely. At an alarming rate. We could talk about gun violence. We probably should be talking more about black women being killed, just period. And how that's killing our community, like
absolutely, absolutely, and that morphing, like that. Let this be told: the white man was the first woman to have a baby by a black woman and abandon it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct the record. Yeah.
The white man was not a black man.
Right.
And it's a whole lot we could go into, but I'm gonna get into these names. Ayanna Stanley Jones, Alberta Sproul, Alicia Thomas, Alexia Christian, Aura Rosser, Danette Daniels, Duana Johnson, Eleanor Bumpers, Frankie Ann Perkins, Gabriella Navarez, Jania McMillan. Oh, there's more. Sorry, it's a whole bunch of them. I had them in order, but just go like that, from the bottom up. Tanisha Anderson, Tarika Wilson, Taisha Miller, Sanji Teller, Charmel Edwards, Shelley Frey, Shanika Proctor, Sharice Francis, Natasha McKenna, Nazai Morris, Pearlie Golden, Raukina Jones, Rakia Boyd, Riddell Jones, Chantel Davis. I think I said her name already once too. Margaret Mitchell, Megan Hockaday, Michelle Cousseau, Miriam Carey, Maya Hall, sorry, I just wish I had Kyra Moore, Kendra James, Keisha Michael, Kyam Livingston, Latanya Haggerty, Melissa Williams, Margaret Laverne Mitchell. Those are just some of the names. The list goes on and on and on. And I just wanted to say them again. And the bad part about it is, after we have these conversations and we say the name and I go back to find the research and the updates, and it's very little. There's no updating. And y'all notice I did not say Sandra Bland, Breonna Teller. Everybody knows those names. I don't want to take away from them because they need to be said as well. But it's so many more women out here, black women, that are dying. And we need to say their name. Thank you.
So it's we talking about data, research, and every time we do this segment, she kind of always leads to the same thing, like, where's the information? Where's the information? And then sometimes even when you read the stories don't be about those black women. It be about whoever the perpetrator is, the cops. Right. It be about everybody else that was a part of the story, and they still have the smallest amount of information in the article.
Unless they had a mental health issue or a drug-related issue, right, or a criminal history. Nothing about them being a mother, a sister, a wife, a daughter, nothing about the things they did in their community. You don't get none of that information. Only the bad stuff.
Right. And that's really how white supremacy works, right? So when we think about prevalence, right, there is no group of people killed more than black men, right? Black men are being slaughtered by police every single day. But what happens is that we pit black men and women against each other, and black women's experiences go by the wayside. But if we're looking at within gender, so we're looking at women who are killed by police, no one's killed more than black women. No one. And so their stories are forgotten because the narrative is more sexy when we're just focusing on the experiences of black men. But there needs to be something where we're balancing it out.
Absolutely.
Because no one's being killed more than us, black men and black women.
Absolutely.
Right? So
I think the other piece is they focus on negatively framing the victims, because at the end of the day, if the police if police are to continue to oppress these communities, then you always have to frame you have to frame black folk as a victim, because that's not going to stop the victimization, and the brutality of it, like the brutalness of it, so but to sustain the continued victimization, then you have to make the victim inhuman.
Absolutely.
To normalize the way they're being treated, the way black men and women and black boys and girls are being treated by police. So you have to normalize that. So that's why the language and the framing, they focus on everything except for the humanity of the victim.
Absolutely.
Right. White supremacy is efficient at what it does.
Yes.
Right. They got this thing down to a science now.
Yes.
All the way down to its message.
Yeah, Du Bois, W.B. Du Bois, he talked about that in his writings. He said structural oppression has to be accompanied by cultural oppression. Like, he put that in his writings. So just going back to what my brother was talking about, he talked about the stereotypes, controlling the images of black women, black men, negating a people or just dismissing a people's history, and that's been done. You listen to the language of the white supremacists, or the quote unquote, supremacists, and the things that he said about Native American, the indigenous people of this land, the things that, in order for manifest destiny to happen, the things he said about, African people, the same language. We come here, the women are oppressed. We come in here to free the women. They worshiping the devil. We came to bring them the true God. This is the language that they use, man, and they shape us all day. Peace. It's going down.
Hey. Hey, welcome back. Yes.
Exactly.
He's a stepper.
So like always, we always be trying to Brody a little time on our anniversary. We gonna Brody it. Come on in.
Come on. This is yes. Come on. Come on in. Yes.
Black folk employing black folk, man. You gotta have that on there.
Let's go. This is love, support, and grace. PSA.
You gotta have
Philly
it in there.
service announcement. Glockaware Radio every Tuesday, 5 to 6. We've been doing this for a year today. Every Tuesday, 5 to 6. Look at the love in this room today.
Now,
Yes.
we could have had a lot of like entertainers. We had some entertainers that
We
we
could have partied. We could have been popping bottles.
Yeah,
and,
that have been on the show. We
celebrating.
could have reached out to them.
Yeah.
But Saturday, and I apologize to y'all because we could have did a drop on Saturday. Everybody, that was going to be on here, but we gonna still figure something out to promote what we got going on with the
Yes,
PAR
this is
research, with the Fathership Foundation. Dr. Wilson, he would come in here 5 minutes after he done talked crazy about me the other day. But I mean, it is what it is. He done been on the show like this is third time on. He's
And
he's
he
a friend to
always
the show.
welcome. I don't care how
I
many
like when I
minutes
can
left.
say a friend to the show.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? That means we doing some things that we can say a friend to the show. It was your fault today? Well, you got listen. You for a
That's okay, because now you gotta come back.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Now you gotta come back.
And,
I know where y'all at now.
Yeah.
I was up here already, but I had to go get him.
okay.
But when we come back, we bring in a whole West Philly division. We bring in the whole 16 for the last seat and a little bit more Southwest for the second.
No doubt.
Okay.
It's always a family affair. Like love, support, and grace to us is a real thing, and I like
That's what
to
we strive
always explain it. Like when I came home, that's what I was showed. After being missing for 20 years, that's what everybody showed me. Y'all know I'm a crybaby, dog.
But that's real, bruh. That's real.
And that's what we try to promote with our people on the show. You know what I'm saying?
That's what we do. And that's why we have the turnout that we have right here, right now. And these is educated
Heavy hitters.
brothers and
Heavy
sisters,
hitters.
y'all. Educated.
We moving away from what we are. As much as we love art, art real purpose, John Henry Clark talks about it. That is how you are supposed to educate.
Okay.
It's supposed to be, entertaining to a certain degree,
Okay.
but art is supposed to educate. It's mandatory. Everything leads to self-preservation. Real self-preservation is information. Your people passing down the information of your culture so you can know how you can defend yourself against the world. And I only say defend yourself because it's a certain group of people who has turned the world into a war zone
That's so true.
since they came out the cave.
Yes.
You know what I mean? We've been rumbling European folks for 4,500 years.
Yeah.
It's documented.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Racism just gets a name in America, but it was already going on. For
Right.
anybody who's serious about understanding, because we say white folks a lot, we say Europeans a lot. I say Urugu at times, and the reason why I say Urugu because that's a book.
Oh.
Marimba Ani, 700 pages.
Wow.
Wrote it from the time that, if I'm not mistaken, that her daughter was born until she was 16. So you already know what type of gal her daughter is. Being in the house while mommy doing this all day, every day. But she gave you a complete understanding of European culture and why they move the way they move. So we not gonna say that it's boring. We ain't gonna use none of the catchphrases no more. We not gonna say, I don't want to preach. I don't want to lecture. The brother that came on the show, that he brought that to my attention. And that's something that I knew. But when he brought it to my attention, it was like, yeah, because you instantly give people an out to shut down. When you say, I don't want to preach to y'all. I don't want to be preaching. I don't want to lecture to y'all. I don't want to get too deep. Like, we going to stop saying all that.
Yeah.
We
Because
gonna stop
we
saying-
getting deep.
We getting deep.
We getting deep.
We
We
getting
gonna
deep.
preach. We gonna lecture. Because all the other stuff, to a certain degree, it hasn't been working. I can't entertain it into you.
That's so So true.
I can't give you one line about a great black person and then the rest of the bar is about killing 30 black people.
Right.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I can't do that. It's not working. It's not working. So these powerful black people, you know what I'm saying? We going lecture to y'all.
Yes,
You know what I'm saying? Go ahead, do your thing.
While we're talking about,
Go ahead, give him the mic.
while we're discussing changing language, I just wanted to interject one little thing. We should stop saying to everybody in the metaverse, digital space, or whatever, we should stop saying at-risk youth
Okay.
and start using at-promise youth.
Yeah.
And coming up in May, we're having the at-promise youth college and trades fair on 58th and King Session. For all the kids getting out of high school, West Philly High, Bartram, little charter schools around there, they can come there and they can engage all the educational academic institutions in the region and also the trade schools, barbering, all under one roof, plumbing, local 332, carpenters union, all that. Right there, right before they graduate. And the thing about it is it's going to be annual. So every time the kids get ready to graduate, they can go to the At Promise Youth College and Trades Fair.
Yes. Yes.
So when you said trade,
Just-
my brother right here was shaking his head. My brother Zubair, you know what I mean? This is the brother that I was talking about when I was saying me and him like had some knockout, drag out Jones about Booker T in the yard. You know what I'm saying?
Don't get me started on
Hey, man, we gonna do that on another show. I just
no.
threw that out there because I said something to them about it before the brother came in, and he gonna get a chance because he, you know, this is my brother for real. Like, he gonna get a chance to meet all y'all, to be on the show. Everywhere I'm at, we the same dude. It's crazy, we the same dude. So, but that's where we differ right there. So I just wanted to let y'all know. I see you chomping at the bit because, you know, it's only a little bit of time left, brother. We ain't gonna be like, nah. But listen, man, I really appreciate all y'all coming through, man. Like, seriously appreciate y'all coming through. It's so much more that I want y'all to be able to say. So y'all know y'all got to come back multiple times. The door is always open. We need to hear from y'all. We need y'all to bring more of y'all friends. We need to be up in here sweating off of information.
Yes.
Seriously, we need more Dr. Brooklyns. I was so not that I wanted my brother to be late, but at first she wasn't going to be able to make it, or she thought she wasn't.
Oh, really?
And we try to keep it from always being so much testosterone, like the black man, you know.
You know what? I see, yeah, because you're host. Yeah.
We need that. We need that balance. Yeah, we need that
You
balance
already
because
know. You already know.
because the thing that we can't do,
Yeah,
we can't do the struggle Olympics, y'all. We gotta acknowledge that we both play a very pernicious role in what's happening to each other as we imitate our oppressor.
Yes.
Men and women, as
Yes.
we
Say
imitate
it
our
again.
oppressor.
Imitate.
like do it. Yeah.
So we you know, I get into a lot of situations with my daughter.
Oh yeah, he told us.
You know
about
what I mean?
you.
She be coming at me, you know, you got the patriarchal thing
Yeah,
going on,
all
the
that,
toxic
all
nasty.
that.
But I love it because I was able to give her a lot of that language, and she did what black women do. She taking it
That part.
everywhere. You know what I mean? So,
Absolutely.
yo, this gonna be the place for us, man. This gonna be the
Yes.
place for us.
We in our lane.
All right, just really quickly, because I don't know how much time we have. This is the Southwest Street PAR team that's in effect here. Sharon, Sarah, Dr. Jonathan Wilson, Dr. Brooklyn Hitchins, Jarue. I'm Dr. Yasser Payne, and there are probably a set of other folk who I'm blanking on. So Jonathan's
The whole
mic.
street, Southwest.
Oh. Do I need to say that again?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, hello everybody. We are the Southwest Street PAR team, Street Participatory Action Research Team that's operating out of the Fathership Foundation. Sharon, Sarah, Dr. Jonathan Wilson, Jarue, Dr. Brooklyn Hitchins, myself, Dr. Yasser Payne. Anyone who E-Class, who are some of the other members?
We got Sid Johnson, and anybody else that wants to come and volunteer as well. So what we're going to be doing, you want to talk about what we're going to be doing? Yeah.
Right. Right. So, out of the Fathership Foundation, we're going to launch a groundbreaking grassroots study with the people on gun violence. Right. We're looking for 150 participants to speak with privately, confidentially. Right. We don't need no names, no contact information. We just need folks who have real experiences in the streets around
shooters.
Right, between the ages of 16 to 24, right, and we're paying also $30 in cash for about 90-minute interview, mostly survey to be honest with you, but to get a better understanding of why folk are going to the guns to handle a lot of their problems. But again, Fathership Foundation is where we're doing most of the interviews at in Southwest Philly. So we're looking to start the project probably by mid to late April in terms of collecting data.
But I want you to give them one. I want you to give them one thing that was real powerful, and me feeling like a cat that I know, I'm aware, and everything. Give them a couple numbers on gun violence, like the real numbers on gun violence and how it's being played with and all of that.
Yep. Great question. I would say, in short, be careful about all information or messaging around most issues related to poor Black communities, and a lot of it is manipulated, and/or a lot of what you're receiving across the airwaves is not really reflective of what's going on the ground, right? So keep in mind, with the exception of 2020, possibly 2021. Gun violence is at a 20-30-year low. That's shootings and homicides. Chicago's at a 25-year low, right? Contrary to the drill music and the shootings and the deaths within the rap scene, not to mention, right? But if you actually look at the data itself, right? It's at and mind you, and these youth have more access to guns than they've ever had before, right? Which so that's interesting. But the actual shootings and deaths, right, don't compare to the late 80s and the early 1990s, right? Now, one death is one too many, so I don't mean to downplay anything that goes on. On average, though, you're probably having a ballpark of about 17,000 homicides per year. Right, and in the Black community, that's across race, by the way. In the Black community, you're probably looking at around 7,000 to 8,000 homicides per year, and that's mostly Black men killing Black men, right, in the Black community. But nonetheless, right, so when you say 17,000, right, keep in mind there are 330 million. One more time, 330 million people in the U.S. Right, and you probably roughly have about 17,000 homicides, 7,000 to 8,000 homicides in the Black community each year. Right, so that's a fraction of a percent of the total U.S. population that actually gets up and kills one another, right, and gets counted as homicide. Much more likely to die from health-related issues like cancer, right, and more car accidents, hypertension, high blood pressure, strokes. Much more likely, that's when you see the 50, 60, 70, 80, depending on how you count, right? That's when you see those high numbers of death, right? So we don't talk about any of that. Right, but we talk about the homicide. Now, keep in mind, when politicians are running for office every 2-4 years, right? Keep in mind, right before they run for office, you're going to hear a lot about violence, shootings, homicides, even though they're at an all-time low in our society. We're going to get more rappers and put them out there and be popular. Make sure you say, shoot them up, bang, bang, kill, kill, right? And we're going to give you a big contract for doing that, too, right? Even though what they're rapping about may be happening amongst themselves, but not representative of everybody else, right? But it's creating the context, the justification for now the politician to come in and say, I'm gonna make sure your community gets policed in a certain way because I'm gonna save you, right? Ain't these young boys running around killing each other? No, the data don't say that, but they keep rapping it, don't they? Right? So that means I'm gonna get these blockheaded police officers who don't live in your neighborhoods, mind you, to come through here and act like blockheads, right? Because that's going to make you feel safe. And then you told me it's okay to no longer defund your police departments, right? So that means I'm going to fund them to come in and be punitive, right? So they manipulate the number. Now it's time for us to get control over the data on shootings and homicides. And our argument, let's be clear, Southwest Street Park Project, structural violence. That's what's predicting the gun violence.
Absolutely.
They're sabotaging your schools. Right? They're making sure your men are unemployed, right? They're making sure the politicians don't serve your interests, right? And they're doing that every generation while they send the rappers out there to make you feel like all you got to do is just work hard and be a millionaire, right? And distract you, right? This is by design. There is no white wealth without extreme Black poverty. That's what we need to be teaching our children, right? You cannot have one without the other, neither. So every generation, they wake up to figure out how to make sure your schools don't work, because if the schools were working, they would have to do something with those children. They would have to admit them into college and PhD programs and give them really good jobs. So therefore, they have to undermine it. And we're here to not only to document through science, right, why the gun violence is taking place, but chiefly, right, that these neighborhoods are being set up by the stakeholders and the politicians and everybody else, that the powers that be are creating a bottom castness that is undermining these neighborhoods, which is causing some black youth to resort to gun violence.
Good, very
Wait, do your
quick.
thing. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Do your thing.
just to build on that. This is like we were talking about the data. This is the other part. They have a 20-year plan, 30-year plan, 40-year plan, 50-year plan, 60-year plan. So they also, they funding these people to take this data, put out the misinformation, so they can justify why they can move you out the way, because you're in the way of their plan. So this work they doing is powerful. This is the counter that, man.
Yes,
I
it
appreciate
is.
this.
This
right
is how
here.
you
Yeah.
control the data, right here. This is a prime example of how we, as black people, control the data that's coming out of our neighborhoods. We're the experts at our lives, not them. That's this right here, y'all.
So, Philly service announcement, PSA, Takeover Tuesday Takeover. I'm the assist. Sister
Nick
Nick
Raw
the Queen.
Kenneth, listen.
Yo, I appreciate all of these powerful people in here. Y'all gonna see them more and more and more, because we need more and more and more. We gonna keep bringing gangs of people. They might come in here and shut us down, kick us up out of here, say it ain't enough. It ain't enough
Next thing you
entertainment in here.
know, Next thing
Not
you
enough
know.
entertainment. But
Next
listen,
thing
man,
you know.
love, support, and grace. That's what we doing out here. I appreciate y'all.
Always.
Love y'all, man.
We out, y'all. Happy 1 year PSA.